I know a lot of parents are going to be afraid. There are a lot of parents today who shelter their children from anything that could be perceived as dirty, harmful, or scary. I don't think that they want their children to experience the fleshy reality of what death really is. And in many cases, I don't think the parents themselves are ready to face that. Because of that, I can only appeal to the parents to take all this in consideration. Maybe they also need to go out in the forest and examine themselves. Take time to sit in the stillness and allow birdsong to penetrate their hearts again and get through the agendas that are on their lists. And to look at the goodness that their children receive from the earth directly and ask the children frankly, do you love the earth? Do you like nature? Do you want to be part of it? Let the children decide what they are drawn to by their hearts, because in the end, they are not our children. They belong to the next generation. We are their mentors. We're the ones who are supposed to give them all the tools they need to make it and have health and happiness in the next generation. It's their world. Give them a chance. Let them experience it. And don't put so many pressures on them to fulfill and reach all these obligations that children have piled on them that are so unrealistic and so painful. Let them be kids. Let them be barefoot and feel Mother Earth in their toes. And let the children decide. John Young, the founder of Regenerative Design Institute. On today's podcast, we're going to have a short story featuring Ryan and our 8-year-old daughter, Pailey. Pailey's been on a couple of the Food Fridays with me, and so most of you should know her if you've listened to those. Ryan took her hiking and actually bear hunting about a month ago. Was it a month ago? No?
Was it that long? I don't think it was that
3
long
weeks ago.
Yeah, whatever. It wasn't that long ago, but yeah, this was a pretty special hunt that we got to do because it was her first one that she actually got to go out and go with me on. So I never really knew how it was going to go. You know, I know we're going to get her hunter certification card at 10, and we'd be hunting at 10, which that's kind of been that number that we've thrown out, that we've talked about with her. But actually having her just go out with me and spend, you know, a couple of days with me up there, man, on a bear hunt that's so close to home here, you know, it's not too hard, but it is hard still. We're still covering a lot of ground.
I would say for the average 8-year-old, that's pretty hard.
Oh yeah, super impressive. This hunt, I wasn't really sure how it was going to go, just because I had a spot in mind. Just the setting of it was cool. I knew we'd find berries, and I knew she'd see some stuff up there, and had good opportunity to catch some fish as well. So if all else failed, you know, we'd get to do things that she'd enjoy, and she wouldn't get too bored. So, but again, that spot was 9 miles in. So not knowing that she would be able to make that, plus it was hot out when we started hiking in. Yeah, to my surprise, we got there that night and actually saw some critters, saw some goats and all that. But she not only did it, she did it with a smile on her face and loved it. So it was a great trip for me.
Yeah, I think we had a conversation today at lunch about just kind of the difference between Pailey and some other kids, I think, that we know that don't really get outside very much and, you know, go out in the backcountry very much. And she's just so, it's kind of seems so natural for her. I think, obviously, her and Ryan are kind of like two peas in a pod. You guys are, you know, you look alike. You kind of have the same endurance. You're built alike. And you have a lot of the same mindset around this stuff. So I think as long as she's with you doing it, with me, I went on like a half-mile run with her the other day, and she was like, Mom, we got to walk. I can't go any further. And I said, you run this with your dad for time. And I know it because you guys come back and you're like purple from sweating. And with me, it's like, Mom, I got to run. I can't do this. I have a side ache. So I think when she's with you, she has this little bit more of oomph in
Yeah.
her step. And
Yeah, we're at a cool stage where she actually, out of nowhere will just be kind of hanging around the house and making some food or something. And she'll come up and, hey, let's run up to the stop sign, which is, it's 3/4 of a mile away. But we do it, usually we do it in the summer, pre-trained to hunt. We do it with weight and stuff like that. But no, she's gotten into it and she likes that little challenge. It's got a good hill on it. And yeah, every once in a while. And this time I was kind of busy, so we had you do it.
And she's a fast runner, man. She took off out of the chutes like bam. And I was, oh, geez, I'm not going to be able to catch up with her. And yeah, by the time we got to the hill, she's like, Mom, I got a side ache. I got to quit. I got to walk. You know what? Daddy only makes me go to this pole at the top of the hill. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. What are you talking about? Yes, he does. He says we can walk now if we want. And I'm like, I think you're totally pulling my leg. You walked 20 miles with your dad in like 2 days. I think we can run to the stop sign. So, but I think too, we were having that conversation around kids, kids being exposed to this. So I think sometimes, so there's also a video with this that you made a bunch of video and took a bunch of pictures.
Yeah,
and
it's just
I
like
made it into a little,
total,
non-professional video, but
amateur hour for me. I just use my phone. I don't have any fancy camera equipment. I just kind of use my phone.
But it was good. And as I'm making the video, I'm thinking to myself, oh, what would some people think about this? I mean, the people, you guys listening to us, you probably don't think this is a big deal, but we also have a lot of people that listen to us that I think don't hunt or just getting into hunting. And there's this maybe thing about, how do I introduce my kids to this? What's the right age? Are they going to be traumatized by these things? She has absolutely she's just like you. I mean, she is so excited about this bear, and she's telling the story and she's showing it. I mean, she's really proud of it. So
yeah, and I think in this podcast, she's a little reserved. She doesn't get too excited in the podcast when she gets the headphones on, but
you can see it more in the video.
During the hunt, she was pretty happy.
Well, you can tell that Ryan was having a great time up until he actually killed the bear, because we only have video literally up to right when they got the bear, and there's no obviously kill shots or anything because Ryan's busy like doing that.
Well, then it's like you go into this mode of, all right, we got to get out of here. We got a lot of meat to pack. We got, we had well over 9. It was probably more like 10 and a half, 11 miles from where we were at that point. We had to get back to camp and then 9 miles out. So I didn't really think about much after that. I knew I had an 8-year-old. I knew it was, pushing, I don't know what, 5 o'clock. And
I made the video and I'm like, geez, where did all the video go after? And Ryan's like, yeah, we were just trying to get home. And so it's, but there's some good pictures, and she just, she came back, and the next morning, I mean, they got home really late. I don't even know what time they got home. And I was up early because I'm always up early. I'm a morning person. And Ryan came down. It was still early, and he was kind of limping around. And then Pailey came down, and she never, she's a sleep-in person, and she was just like so excited, and
yeah, we actually, I think we got home sometime after midnight, and that was a huge pack out. That was the whole bear, the whole camp on my back, and so. Yeah, I was tight when I got up, but we got up, and man, she was up. She only got like, I don't know, 5 hours of sleep. Yeah, and she was up and doing jumping jacks downstairs in the living room. It was crazy.
Well, I have to say it was a little shocking for me because I didn't actually think they were going to do it. I think, going back to my question, like, is this too inappropriate for little kids? And I think I still, my background, it's like, I still have that thing about reservation of, is she going to be okay with this and stuff like that. So I think when I found out in the morning that they had actually gotten something, I was like, what? And it was kind of shocking to me. It was actually way more shocking to me than to Pailey. Pailey was kind of looking at me like, Mom, what's the big deal? And so I really saw that, she has that in her, and she was very proud of it. She went to school her very first week of school. She has to do show and tell every week. and she talked about her bear hunt. And you know what? It was interesting because it's a community day and the parents go, and she's reading about how she hiked this mountain with her dad and saw these goats and ate blueberries. And oh yeah, and then we shot a bear. Now all the kids are like, what? And the teacher's like, wow, and I might have been a little more reserved of her doing that story. She doesn't go to public school, so I might have been like, oh, I don't know if that's appropriate, but she
That's
was
unfortunate.
Yeah, she was so proud of that. And then we were at the dentist this week, so this is like 3 weeks ago she had it. And they always ask, oh, what'd you do for the summer? And blah, 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 her hygienist. She's like, yeah, I just went on this hike with my dad, and we shot a bear. And the hygienist is like, that's amazing. I don't think I've ever heard that from another kid before. And, she doesn't. And actually, I've been very surprised at people's reactions. I went to yoga, and a bunch of my girlfriends, and we got done with the yoga class, and the yoga teacher goes, I can't believe Pailey shot a bear. I said, well, she didn't shoot it. Her dad did, but she was there. And this other woman in class goes, that is just incredible that she's just so into that. Oh
Wow.
my gosh, that's so amazing. So I have 3 women in my yoga class telling me that they think, including the teacher, who's a good friend of mine, and they just thought that was so magical that Pailey got to go out into the woods and to have this experience. So I think every time that I have any kind of reservation about it, it's like people around me, even if I don't think they would support her in that, they're very supportive of that. And I think that has to come down to the nature of your kid, right? Like everybody knows Pailey. And I think that was that other conversation we were having today about animals and the love that she has for animals. It's kind of hard to explain, right? Like people who don't hunt think you hate animals, and you're killing animals maybe for fun or whatever. And Pailey is like a total animal.
Well, she loves animals, but she also gets it. She kind of understands, we also eat animals, certain animals, and she has no problem. She's been around it for so long. It's been, it's in her DNA. It's
Unfortunately, majority of children, especially that live in urban areas, they don't experience that.
Yeah, we live in Western Washington, so there's not a whole lot of folks around here that are exposed to that actually kind of participate like some of us do in nature as much as we do. So they're they're really not exposed to it at all and kind of uneducated, I would say, on a lot of things. That's why it's so shocking to them to actually hear about somebody out killing a bear, killing a deer, or killing an elk or whatever. Yeah, there would be a complete different reaction, I think, at the public school system here if Pailey went up and kind of talked about her summer and went into this long story about how she went out and shot a bear and packed meat out of the mountains. But and that's too bad because it is natural. It's nature. Life sustains life. So she knows that, and hopefully, I think a lot of people are kind of catching on to it. But she, I think by her growing up with the lifestyle, it just doesn't faze her. She just gets it and understands what it is.
I also feel that there's a sense of maturity. Even after this event, I feel like she has a little bit different sense of maturity than she did before she went. I've kind of noticed that in her, and I feel too that some of the other children we've been around that are in this industry, their parents are in the industry and we've made friends with, and they have a different maturity about them. When like Joel Turner's kid, he
Bodie.
was there when we were Bodie. You're getting a shout out. When we went there to do Joel's class and with Gritty, and that kid is just like, man, he knows archery. Holy cow. And he's serious about it. He's just like his dad. He's like intense, serious.
Smart kid.
And he's super respectful.
Really, really good.
He's really good.
Better than most.
Yeah, he's
adults.
Really good. He has the best teacher in the world. And he's respectful, he stands there and is quiet when he needs to, and then he teaches us, and
he doesn't have, like, I didn't notice like a reservation about him, like an immature reservation. And it was so great because he spent this whole day with us, and he was just like this mature young kid. And then at the end of the day, I mean, it was super hot that day, right? It was like 95 out there. He was like in the pool, swimming around, having a great time, and he was like a kid. But I just felt there was a sense of maturity about him. And I've gotten that from other kids in like Train to Hunt, the wise kids and the children we've been able to really get to know and love. And so I feel that maturity in Pailey a little bit after that trip. She's changed. And we had this interesting episode this week. Ryan was on his elk hunt, which I'm sure everybody will hear about at some point. We probably do a podcast on that. But we were here, and we just got home from school, and Pailey takes our dog for a walk every day over to her dad's land, over to the office and stuff, whatever. She runs the dog. She comes running back. Mom, there is a cat, a kitten, a baby kitten, and it's dead. And it's bleeding out of its mouth. She's giving me this whole description, and I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So she's telling me this whole story. And she says, I have never seen a dead mammal. And I said, what are you talking about? You just went bear hunting. Well, a dead mammal, that's a pet. You can't have a bear as a pet. And I said, well, what do you want to do, honey? And she says, well, I'm going over there. I'm putting my gloves on. I'm walking over there. I'm getting that cat. And I'm burying that cat in our yard. And he's getting a burial. What do you think, it's a boy or a girl, Mom? And I'm like, I haven't even seen the cat. I don't know. And she goes, that cat is as black as my boots, and I think it's a boy. And I go, okay. And I saw his arm move. He's just died right in front of me. She's giving me this whole description.
She saw like the last breath of that poor kitten.
Poor little kitten. And it's because we have stray cats over there because it's kind of like a farm. And so they have litters, and it was just a sad
got
thing.
Under a car, and
got
one of
in
my
a
workers
car
took
and,
off.
Poor thing is bleeding everywhere. But the difference in Pailey is that she came over and she's describing every single thing about this cat because that's how she is. She's very detail oriented. And she's not like freaked out, like crying and upset, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
She was really concerned about how it happened. Like, she really wanted to get to the bottom of how that cat.
Oh, she's an investigator. Another thing, she has like her dad, private investigator, like nothing gets by her. And so, yeah, so I said, she says, I'm going over there. I'm getting that cat. And she was like doing the head thing at me, the head shake. I'm going over there. And I'm like, okay. So I'm holding her little sister, I'm like, do you want me to come with you? She says, yeah, you should come with me. Make sure it's dead. And I go, okay. So we walk over there, and poor thing is dead, freshly dead, still warm, We have a garbage bag. She picks that thing up with her gloves on, picks that poor little kitten up, puts it in the bag. She's talking the whole way about this little kitten's life and how this little kitten is going to heaven with Jesus, and she's just talking all the way home about how this kitten needs to go to God and be with Jesus. And so we get home. She makes me dig a hole back by her tree that she has a swing on. She buries the cat. She puts the cat in the hole. She puts all the dirt on top of the cat. Then she gets a rock. She writes on this thing in a Sharpie. She gives the cat a name. Spirit is the cat's name. And we have not only that day did we have one ceremony, we had at dark, we had another ceremony where we went out and sang songs to it and stuff. And she wrote on the calendar that this week we're going to have a pray for the kitten day. And Ryan he gets home, he sees the calendar, he's like, what is this? And I'm like, we're praying for the kitten on Wednesday. It's pray for the kitten day, So she has this amazing heart for animals. And I think that it's just when people think that killing an animal is horrible, I think that they have to look at the context of what that means and the cycle of life. So it's pretty cool to see, I have to say.
Yeah. I think, I'm pretty proud of where she is now. I mean, she's just been able to do so much stuff that, unfortunately, I think a lot of kids aren't able to do, that live in the city.
Well, they don't have they don't have the stealthy hunter as their dad. You know, another
Well,
thing
it
is you're
doesn't
not
take
gonna
that. It's
you push her. You
it's
push her.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't want to coddle your kids too much, unfortunately, like a lot of people do. But yeah, when they get to experience a lot of things, be out in the woods, do these hikes, do runs, do hard things. As a kid, I think that's one of the best things. That's what my dad did for me. He got me into doing hard things when I was a kid, long hunts, chucker hunts, and got to experience a lot of things out in nature, which gives you a better respect, a deeper respect for everything out there than if I would have never actually gotten to go out and see it. I think, unfortunately, I run into hikers all the time, and some of them are like brand new hikers, like they haven't seen a whole lot, and they really have no idea what's out there. They don't know that there's bears out there. They don't know
Like the
that there's deer.
Microsoft hikers.
Yeah, we got a lot. We got a lot of that around here. They every once in a while
Amazon, Microsoft.
come around and they'll hit some of these trails, and yeah, you can tell by their shirts that they're where they're from. But yeah, they just don't have any idea. They're just not out there very often. So you tell them that there's actually bears in these woods, and it freaks them out. There's like they just can't believe it. Like, no way. Or there's actually goats in these rocks. Because they haven't seen it, they just don't. I don't know. They just don't get it. But and unfortunately, that's why people come to these conclusions that hunting is a bad thing and just killing an animal is bad. They just haven't had any experience with it, and unfortunately, that's where we're at in society today. There's a lot of that.
I think it's pretty common. It's going on right now. We've seen that. We've seen that with a few things recently about, the public shutting things down when really they don't have a whole lot of, stake in the game. They don't understand it, and
yeah, I think I think there's something to be said about taking your kids out and just doing what we do. We're a little bit different that we had our kids so late. Our youngest could be our granddaughter. We're in our 40s. We got a
oh my god,
2-year-old. But yeah, Pailey's obviously going to grow up, and she's going to kind of know she's going to have done a lot of things that other kids haven't, that other adults at her same age haven't done, and so she'll be fighting the good fight, hopefully, when she hits that point. But
well, she's going to be a lot like you. I mean, she's always been like that. She's just,
I think there's something to be said about taking your kids out and doing hard things. Even at 8, I didn't know how she'd do. I knew she'd do okay. I thought maybe we'd get 5-6 miles in, but dude, she covered 9 miles, and she was happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
We could have gone more, but it was getting dark, and so I think taking your kids out and doing hard things, that's where they get a little respect for it. And I showed her the GPS at the end of that, and I showed her like, how many miles do you think we went? And then I finally showed her, and it was actually like 9.4 miles or something like that. And she's like, oh my gosh. And yeah, so she surprised me, she surprised herself, and now she knows she can do it. And next time I tell her we're going on a 9-mile hike, it's not going to be too scary. She's already done that. And I say that, and actually thinking back, I took her on an 8-mile hike when she must have been.
She's always been a hiker.
She must have been, how old was she? 5? I think she was about 5.
She did 5. I don't know. She was little, and
she did 8 miles in rubber boots and didn't have socks on. She had socks on when we got in the truck, and then somehow on the ride up, she pulled her boots off.
Well, you know how kids are.
Took her socks off, and then we got to the trailhead, and she just slipped her boots on, and I didn't realize she didn't have her socks on until we got way up in there. We'd gone 4 miles, and her feet were hurting. So I was like, well, let's take a look at them, and took her boot off, and it was just these rubber, cheesy pink, I don't know.
They were those little camel rain boots that she got.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were not hiking boots. We wear those to like the pumpkin patch boots.
Yeah. Yeah, they were terrible for that. But she did 8 miles.
Well, she's
with no
always had
socks on.
she has your genetics, she has your feet, she has your legs, she has your determination and your stamina and endurance. She always has, that's her thing. And when she's with you, like I said, she gives you that oomph, you push her that way, and she really likes that. I just, yeah, I don't really worry about her. Like,
Yeah. Well,
she's
like I say,
excited about train to hunt because she's going to be in the next age class
yep.
come next spring, and she's going to be
Going against the big kids
going
this
against the
time.
big kids. So that's what she talks about now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you'll hear her talking a little bit about. We'll just kind of go over our trip, how it started, how it ended, what she thought about it. Kind of a different little podcast, but I think it's cool to hear her perspective a little bit on her first hunt. So
Yeah. The day after you guys got back, she said to me, "Mom, why every time I sit down, these muscles in my butt hurt?" And I go, "That's hiking 20 miles in 2 days, sweetheart." She's
yeah,
like, "So, oh, okay, no big deal.
yeah,
On to the next thing."
yeah.
So it's great to be young. All those great young cells just vastly multiplying. But all right, well, enjoy this podcast. The show notes will be at huntharvesthealth.com/podcast/Pailey's, PAILEYS bear, Pailey's bear. Thanks, babe.
All right, welcome back, folks. We are doing kind of a unique podcast today. I got a very special guest. We are just hanging on the couch here, me and my daughter, Pailey Belle. We're going to talk about a bear hunt we just went on. And she's cracking up. She thinks this is hilarious. But yeah, so kind of lay it out. What we just did is she's 8 years old. Pailey Belle's 8 years old. And we decided that just before school, going back to school, we needed one more summer vacation, one little trip, one little camping trip. And what we thought would be fun is to go up into the mountains and see if we could find some nice ripe blueberries. We wanted to, actually, Pailey came up with a little scavenger list that she wanted to do. She had catching some fish on that list. She had some berry picking on that list. She wanted to see a mountain goat. And there's a few things on there. Try to find a cedar branch, all these kinds of things. One of the big ones on that list was to find a bear. And that was our goal for a little 2-day trip. So we loaded up the car and it was going to be a quick one, but we thought we'd get the best of it. And the weather was really nice and warm down here in the valley, and I've got some really good spots. I don't have to go far to hit a trailhead. So we loaded up into the truck and bombed up there. It was kind of a cool morning, and then started to warm up. We got on the trail, and I think I told you, Pailey, that we had about 8 or 9 miles to hike in, right?
No, you told me 6 or 8.
Yeah, 6 or 8. I wasn't really sure how far we'd get in. It was kind of we'll just see how far we can get one day. I knew it was going to be warm, but you impressed me. So we started off on the trail, and how far did we get? We went about 4 miles till we hit the creek, and we were hot. It was a cooker at that point, and of course Pailey took a break and took her shoes off and got wet and swam around, cooled off. What did you think about the hike in, Pailey?
I think it was good, except the part where it got stung.
Yeah, we found some. Thing about Western Washington is we got a lot of stinging nettles.
Yeah, and today while we were picking grapes, my dad was overwatering, so tell them the story about what happened.
Well, that's a side note. About the hornet?
Yeah, about the hornet.
Oh, hornet almost got me. but it didn't get me.
No,
It,
but just like tell them the story.
well, we saw this hornet, and it skimmed my face. It shot right past my face and skimmed my face. And I'm deathly allergic to hornets. So, well, let's get back to the story. Okay, so we hiked up. We got to the creek. That was 4 miles, which was kind of our goal to see how we were feeling.
Yeah.
And then what happened after that? We started climbing, huh? We started getting a lot of elevation gain and
Yeah.
switched back in, and then we took a little break, and unfortunately, Pailey found a little bee's nest alongside the trail, and she got stung.
I was going to the bathroom, and
Yeah.
I guess I got stung because I didn't know that there was a bee's nest there.
Yeah, she came running back on the trail, and 3 bees got her all at the same time, unfortunately. It was a bad deal.
I said, like, Dad, I'm getting stung. You're like, you're getting stung? Run!
Yeah, we both ran for quite a ways, huh? Try to outrun those bees.
Yeah, and then you came over there, and, like, you had to calm down. You had to let them calm down, and then you went over quietly and got your camera.
Yeah, we had kind of left the camera sitting right there and had to make a quick escape. So we left the camera there and had to go back for it and snatch it up once they calmed down a little bit. So that set us back a ways. But that night, so we ended up hiking all the way up. I think we got up to the top about, I don't know, maybe 6 o'clock or so. And we started finding berries like crazy up there. It was pretty good. Knew we'd probably, hopefully, see some bears. But that night we got up, we found a little flat spot, and we set up camp and then went to do some glassing while you picked a bunch of berries while I was setting up camp. So you had blue lips, and I got the whole tent set up and all that. And then we went and did some glassing. We found a really nice billy goat right below our camp. Huh?
Yeah, we went up there, and my dad got out his spy scope, and he saw a white billy goat right below our camp.
Yeah, it was a big one. He was just feeding along all by his lonesome. But one side of the ridge, we can kind of take a look and see a lake way down in the bottom. And that was our intention. That next day, we were going to go down there and catch some fish. But so it got dark on us that night. We ate some dinner and went. We set up. Pailey wanted to see the stars. So first, when I set up the camp, I kind of left the tent open, just the screen. I got a little MSR hubba that it's double layer. So we had the screen, and then I had a rain fly on it, and I left the rain fly off to begin with. I saw no weather in the forecast. It was supposed to be nice and sunny, but I saw a couple clouds rolling in, and I thought, you know what, I better throw the rain fly on just in case, and I did. And sure enough, I don't know, sometime in the middle of the night, it started pouring on us, and that was the first rain we've seen all summer. And we just happened to be up in the mountains when it hit, but it rained and rained and rained, and we got up probably 6 o'clock that next morning. And it was just, hadn't seen rain for so long.
It was pouring.
It was pouring. Yep.
Yeah.
The ground wasn't soaking it up. So we got a little cabin fever sitting in the tent.
It had big puddles everywhere.
Yeah.
Of water.
We were sitting in our tent eyeballing big giant huckleberries out there.
We were in there for 5 hours or something, or
Yeah. I think we waited till about 10 o'clock that morning before we actually got out, because we kind of knew what would happen. As soon as we got out, we were going to get soaked. We were going to get, our feet were going to get wet and all that. But finally it broke and the sun come up, and we started hiking. So we hiked up to the ridge and kind of did some glassing, looking for bears, looked down at the lake. I think I don't know that we saw any goats in the morning, but we kind of hiked all the way across to another ridge about a mile away.
Yeah, I think we did see some goats in the morning. Well, I don't think so, but like maybe in the afternoon or
Yeah,
something.
we saw a bunch of them in the afternoon.
Yeah, no, 3 babies and a mama.
Yeah.
The babies were running, then the mama just stayed there.
Yeah, for sure. But what did we see before that? We kind of climbed up on a ridge and we glassed way off in this whole other drainage. And we saw a big old giant black bear over there, didn't we? Yeah, this thing was pretty good size. He was feeding just stuff in his face with huckleberries, and so we tried to figure out a way to get down into that basin. Well, that chute was really steep, and Pailey really wanted to get down there. So she got a little frustrated because we could not get down there without climbing ropes, and it was going to be impossible. But we tried, and we just couldn't do it. It was too risky. So we backed out of there, and I made her deal. If we can't go get that bear, at least we can go catch some fish. So we kind of hiked back to where we came, and that's when we saw some goats.
And
we watched
then
them for a while, took some video.
After that, we went to the ridge, and he was like, "Wait, you swear? It was like down there, like 50 yards or something, or like 100 yards away.
It's about 440 yards when I first saw that big old bear.
And then you're like, duck down. And I ducked down, and you went up to the cliff, and you shot, and you could still see, and you could still hear that bear breathing.
Yeah, so what happened was we first saw the bear. He was a little ways out there. He's 440 yards, and the way he was feeding, I just figured, well, I'm going to let him keep feeding towards us. We'll get a nice close shot. And so what we did was we worked up the ridge and got the high ground. We got way higher on the hill. And Pailey kept up and stayed right behind me. And we got up there, and shoot, we kind of broke over the top. And right away, that bear had fed to us a couple hundred yards. And he was probably at least 175 yards away at that point. So he was getting nice and close. So I got a really good rest and set up and let him come even a little bit closer and put a shot on him. And he was right about to go up and over a ridge. And I was worried if he dropped down, we might not ever see him again. So I got a quick shot on him, and the shot felt good. Everything was tight. And so we watched him bail over the edge, and we were going to give it some time. So we went back and kind of got a little snack. Went back to camp, got a little snack, unloaded some stuff, our fishing gear, and loaded up some more game bags. And then we kind of had to scale a mountain to get down there, didn't we? We had a big chute that dropped down into a snowfield, and we went down in there and kind of got to where that bear had bailed off that edge, and it was really steep. So steep that I didn't want you to go down there, huh? It was way too steep for that. So I kind of had you plop down on the top and just watch me go down it.
Yeah, I just stayed up there. Dad saw a hawk feather, and he was like, "Hawk feather over there," and I saw it, and then I just stayed up there, and I tried to make blueberry ink out of it so I can put it on my hawk feather.
You're pretty creative. Yeah, you were trying to be able to write with your hawk feather by using blueberries for the ink. Pretty smart.
Like an Indian would.
Right. Yeah, that's probably true. So yeah, so that was cool. We got up there, and I was looking for sign, looking for blood, looking for anything, and I could look back up the hill and see Pailey's head peeping over the edge. And so I got down in there, and the problem with this area is there's cliffs everywhere. And so I got down, and I could tell that this bear had ran straight down. And to me, it looked like he probably cliffed out. And sure enough, he did. He kind of got right to the edge, and he was hurt, so he could not back up. So I got down in there, and I saw the brush moving a little bit. I think you saw the brush moving a little bit too, didn't you?
Yeah, I
you
did.
saw the blueberries moving. Mm-hmm. Well, he was he was right on the bottom edge. I mean, he was within 5 feet of that cliff, but he was just tucked up into some brush. And he was mortally wounded, but he was still breathing a little bit. So I was within about 10 yards, and I just didn't have a good angle. So what we did was we backed out, gave it more time, dropped down the bottom, and kind of looked up the cliff and trying to see if we could spot him from down below. And we couldn't find him. So what we did is I left you at the bottom, and so you could kind of see everything from down there. And I hiked up that cliff and got above him again. And
I stayed down there. I was carving my rock like.
Yeah, you were carving all kinds of stuff into rocks.
Then I saw you throwing rocks at that, so you would know if...
I was throwing rocks into the berries just to see if anything moved, if he was still alive in there. I just wanted to kind of, make sure. And then I went up there, and he wasn't, I don't know why, but he wasn't quite dead yet. So I finished him off. I had Pailey move locations and get behind some rocks and trees.
I went down there, and he was like, Pailey, go over that hill. And I was like, what hill? This hill? And he's like, no, somewhere where you can't see me. Okay? And I went over here, and then I looked up, and then he shot, and I, popped down because there's some trees right here, like some little trees, and then a little hole right here that I sat in so you can shoot.
Yeah. So I shot and just made sure we were really safe, and I finished him off. Well, as soon as I shot, he just kind of, lost all strength, and he started to roll. And I thought, well, he's going to roll right off of this cliff. And so he rolled once, and I didn't hear him land at the bottom. And it was about a 200-foot drop to the bottom, I would say.
And
it's
you told me you said to me, Pailey, is that bear down there on the cliff? Off the cliff? And I'm like, do you think it rolled down the cliff? And he's like, I don't know. Did you see it? And I'm like, no, I didn't see the bear roll down the cliff.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how it didn't roll down the cliff because it was right on the edge of it when I finished him. And so I ended up tying off with some rope, and because it was pretty darn hairy at that point. I had to do everything I could to try to get that bear and get it pushed off that cliff. There's no way I could drag him up from where he was. All he did was he kind of got himself pinned into some scrub, and he was a big old bear, and I was having a hard time moving him. So I tied off, kind of lowered myself down there, and serious pucker factor on that one. But I finally, after about 15, 20 minutes, I got his head kind of in between these two trees, and I pulled his foot around and ended up, pushing and kicking and doing everything I could, and finally got him off. And he rolled and tumbled off that edge, and that's about all I could do. And he hit the bottom and rolled to a stop in kind of a little grassy meadow down there. And Pailey I had her set up on the other side, so she wasn't in the fall zone, and she watched it come off that edge. And so she got to the bear way before I did.
It was a huge boom. It was like ba-boom, 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 ba.
Yeah, exactly. And then you ran up to it, and you got to check it out. Well, I had to scale back down that hill. Huh?
And I asked you, Dad, can I touch his paw? Because it felt really weird that I was going to touch a bear's paw because I felt like it was still kind of alive.
Yeah, so we got down there and kind of admired it a bit. It was just a beautiful bear, big chocolate-colored black bear, and just about as fat as a bear can be. He'd been chowing down berries like a maniac, obviously, for a while, and he was just a roly-poly. I don't know how many inches of fat I had to cut through just to get to that back strap, but it was pretty insane. And so we got the game bags out after we took some photos, and gosh, we got a lot of meat off that bear, didn't we? Plucked it clean and saved some of the fat, and it was kind of getting late in the day, and we had to be out of there, and so we started climbing out. I knew we were going to be making a long journey out in the dark, but that was all going to be fun because we had a big old bear on our back. So went back, climbed up the snowfield and up through the chute, and got back to camp and broke it down. But yeah, what did you think of when we finally got that bear and finally getting out of there?
I thought it was pretty good. Then, while you were cutting up the bear, I made a little chair in there. I used moss, grass, and then there was this little hole in a rock on, like, right here, and then a hole right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put some moss in the hole, and then I put some grass against the rock so I could carve my rock while I waited.
Yeah, my daughter's pretty creative. She's always coming up with cool little things. So
Carving the rock makes chalk.
Mm-hmm.
Get it? Rock, chalk.
Yeah, we made a bunch of pictures up there in the rocks because it was all chalky and just drawing designs. She's a little artist, so we made designs. Somebody will find them someday, or we'll be back there. I'm sure when you get your license, we'll get a chance to go back in there and get your own bear. But no, we had a lot of work to get out of there. It was 9 miles back from our camp to the truck.
My first animal, I want to be a deer.
A deer now? Oh, you changed your mind, huh? Now it's going to be a deer.
I want to be a deer first.
Okay, that's fine by me. But so what did you think about the hike back, P?
I think it was good.
Yeah, it wasn't too hard?
My favorite part about the hike back in the dark was seeing those 2 ginormous frogs.
Yeah, we hit a couple of mountain toads up there. They were big old things right in the trail. But yeah, it was fun. It was 9 miles. We hit the creek. We still had 4 miles to go, and that was all going to be in the dark. And so that was Pailey's first night hike with a headlamp on. And this time she actually carried her sleeping bag out and some of her wet, dirty clothes the whole way down. Daddy carried it all the way up, but she carried it all the way out.
You carried
so
my pack all the way, like half the way up.
Yeah. But my pack was pretty heavy. It was well over 100 pounds coming out of there with all that meat. So, yeah, packing the sleeping bag helped out. But, so that was kind of our trip. And it was, such a special time up there with Pailey, getting to go up, just me and her, and just have a little time to ourselves. And she could kind of just see, the high country and see what it was all about. And what Daddy does up there to bring these animals back and how hard it is. I thought it was pretty cool. I just had a blast and got a lot out of that trip, and kind of figured out that, I knew she was tough, but she did well over 20 miles in 2 days and didn't complain about it. The only complaint that I heard was getting stung by bees and stinging nettles.
And having my shoulders hurt.
Yeah, that's right. Your backpack on the way up, that was hurting your shoulders. But your legs did fine. Probably all that train to hunt that you did this summer, getting ready for it. But
I can't wait until my birthday.
So you can go up in the next age class for train to hunt. But that was it. I just wanted to kind of, share our little story, talk about what we did. It was a fun little hunt, short and sweet, and it was really perfect to get my daughter to get a little 8-year-old up there and be able to go chase a bear down and pack it out of the mountains. And we've been eating on it. For
Christmas, I'm going to ask Santa for a bear call.
A bear call? That's right. Uh-huh. That's right. I forgot you were blowing your bear call up there quite a bit, or Daddy's bear call.
No, mine. It was my mouse call.
Oh, that's right. It was the rodent call.
No, a mouse.
For coyotes. Yeah.
Mouse call. It calls in coyotes.
That's right. Yep. So, anyways, but now we had a great time. It was fun. Glad we got to do it before school, and Pailey had a really good story to kind of tell all her classmates when she got back, and I think she did that yesterday. I think she shared her story with the whole class. I don't know how many kids at school got a bear hunting story, but
There's not really that many. There was Mariah. Okay, so 1, 3, 4, 5, 6.
so there was a handful of people that got.
There were
listen to it.
6,
Yeah, it's a pretty small class.
including me. That was 7.
Yeah, perfect.
So there's not really that much in my class.
Right. Okay, well, yeah, so that was it. We had a great time. We got a lot of meat. I've been canning bear meat like crazy. I decided with this one, I already got a spring bear this year. I tried this big old fat blueberry bear and just canned a lot of it. Did a little bit of grind with it. That we've already pretty much eaten most of that, making all kinds of stuff and spaghetti, some chili, and boy, the canned stuff is just incredible. It's so easy to make, and just put it up and save some of your freezer space and get a bunch of jars in the pantry. It's pretty awesome, and I don't think there's a better tasting meat than bears from this time of year. And then can it. It's just, oh man. Even the neck meat on that thing was tender once canned. But so yeah, that was it. I thought we'd just tell our story, real quick one, and talk about what we did. So anyway, 8-year-olds in the mountains, they can do it too. They got a lot of drive. They'll surprise you, and they make it fun because they're always finding cool stuff and getting all creative and seeing things that maybe we don't see or we just kind of take it for granted. So yeah, you did great. You did really well. It was a lot of good hard hiking, and really impressed with your age. That was good.
I want to tell something.
Okay.
So we found this piece of wood I sat on it, and it was at the creek. It was in the ground, and I carved me and Daddy's name on it.
Yep, sure did. Left all kinds of signs up there on the mountain. Somebody will probably find our spot looking for all that and all those clues. All right, well, that was it. Short and sweet story of me and Pailey's bear hunt 2017. All right, take care, guys. Hey, folks. Thanks for listening to the Hunt Harvest Health podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Visit our website at huntharvesthealth.com for more podcast stories and recipes. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hunt Harvest Health. You can also message me at StHealthy Hunter, that's STH, and I will be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Also tag your photos Hunt Harvest Health or Get Stealthy, as we enjoy seeing what you guys are doing as well.